In this video, I'm reviewing the EPZ TP35 dongle DAC and the EPZ Q5 Pro IEMs or in-ear monitors. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. Check out this box for the EPZ Q5 Pro. It's pretty nice. This is a $50 IEM. Let me check on that. It is actually $55 at the moment, but you can probably get it on sale pretty regularly on AliExpress. So $55. It's a single dynamic driver IEM. And then there's the TP35 dongle DAC. And this is coming in at a price of $60. And this has inside, it's got dual CS43198 DAC chips. That's what the box looks like. I'm going to bring in the little guy now, and there it is. So it's a pretty, well, you've all seen dongle DACs before. We're very familiar with these little guys by now. But this is a cool one. It's got two volume control buttons. Also can be used to change the digital filters and high and low gain, etc. On the underside, we've got a transparent window, which is pretty cool. So you can have a look at the PCB. The USB Type-C cable is lovely, braided copper, silver-plated copper. It's nice. I'll just take that off while we're having a look at the device here. Now we've got a 3.5mm single-ended and 4.4mm balanced headphone output. There's your USB Type-C port, and that is about all there is to it. But let me tell you some more of the specs, because this little guy supports up to PCM 32-bit 384 kilohertz and DSD256. I just realized I'm holding it upside down. Yeah, 32-bit 384 kilohertz and DSD256. So pretty nice. It's all aluminium, very nicely built, feels good in the hand. I just noticed it looks like my clear window has already got a couple of scratches on it, but I do treat my gear rough. This has been shoved in my pocket on many occasions already. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because look, dongle DACs, they're all pretty much going for neutral sound signature. This one happens to sound really pleasant. It's really good. It's comparable with any other dongle DAC I can think of around that $50-$60 price point. It's got a very low noise floor. It performs really, really well. I love having the onboard volume controls. It's very handy. It worked perfectly with my phone and perfectly with my Windows 11 PC. And with both of those, there's no setup or drivers necessary. It's just plug and play and you are good to go. So yeah, I know that's a pretty brief rundown on the TP35, but what more can I say? It's a dongle DAC. It sounds cool. It sounds great. But now I'm going to move on to the Q5 Pro. But first I want to get this cable out of the way, literally and figuratively. It's kind of shit. It looks all right. I like the way that they've got rose gold components that perfectly match the highlights on the shells. But the cable, it's a little bit stiff, got a bit of memory. It's very tangly. It's not terrible, but it could have been better. By the way, these IEMs, I'll just put them there. We'll look at those in a sec. These IEMs come with a carrying case and 3 pairs of silicone ear tips, much like the Q5 Clean, which we're going to compare them with later on. So let's have a look at these. Now, I'll say right now, before we get too into it, if you're looking for a comparison between the Q5 Pro and the Q5, you need to look elsewhere. I didn't get the Q5. The reason being, it was offered to me, but the reason being, it looked to be heavily inspired design-wise, aesthetics-wise, by the Meze Advar. But frankly, it looked like an outright copy of the design, so I wasn't interested in that. Didn't want to deal with the bullshit that came with that. But this one, as far as I can tell, nice original design. The shells are acrylic, but the face plates are aluminium. That It's available in black or white. And yeah, the build quality is nice. The comfort is good. The shells are great, nice and small. So with that said, it's time to talk about how they sound. So inside, we've got single dynamic driver, carbon ceramic composite nano diaphragm, and these are nice and easy to drive. You don't need a special DAC or amp or anything. You can run them straight out of a phone. You will get a better experience if you're using something like the TP35 here, which pairs really nicely as you would expect with these. But I'll throw up the graph now, and there you can see it. So pretty familiar looking kind of frequency response there. It's a somewhat balanced, not far from neutral tuning, with a slight tilt toward brightness in the upper mid-range. Now the bass, despite being only subtly lifted slightly, it's got good extension. It's got nice sub-bass extension, pretty good. It does get a bit of a rumble going. It does have a bit of a mid-bass punch, but don't expect like a really upfront full-on bass. It's pretty reserved, but it is a quality bass. It's got good definition. It's got nice tightness to it. It's got good speed and nimbleness. It does not bleed into the mid-range, but if you are a bass head looking for massive bass impact, you'll need to consider other models. You won't get that here, but for myself, I didn't really find the bass lacking in any way. Even the mid-bass, plenty there, plenty of punchiness there and impact. And then in the mid-range, which is kind of where this one shines, it's got a nice spacious sound, pretty neutral, so for maybe slightly lean note size, especially in the upper mids, but good timbre overall, pretty impressive, nice and spacious, fairly detailed mid-range. Male and female vocals both sound good, although female vocals do get a little bit of extra boost and vitality or vibrance. But really, yeah, not a lot to complain about the mid-range. It is quite good for a $50 IEM. And then in the treble is also pretty nicely done. It does have good extension. It is fairly precise and pretty good at picking up micro details and details in general. It is not what I would call a sibilant or a harsh treble, although sometimes when you turn the volume up, it can get a little bit thin sounding now and then, but the same thing can be said about the upper mid-range. If you do turn the volume up, the Fletcher-Munson curve kind of kicks in, and those upper mids do start to sound a little bit thin and a little bit edgy, for lack of a better word. But overall, I am pretty impressed with the sound for the price point. But let's get into a comparison. I'm going to compare it with the Q5 Clean because they are both fairly similar. However, the Clean does have a little added bass weight, which I find just pulls or broadens the mid-range notes to a more natural note weight. Admittedly, the Clean's mid-bass is not as clean. How ironic, no pun intended. The Clean's mid-bass is not as crisp and defined as the Q5 Pro. However, it does carry a little more weight and impact, and that carries over into the upper mids and the treble, where I find the Clean to have just a slightly more natural timbre. Look, both of these are really good IEMs for the price. I think I prefer the Clean slightly overall. However, I have been really impressed with this one. Actually, on some types of music, mainly like classical, certain types of rock music, I do enjoy the sort of the really crisp and clean sound that we get from the Q5 Pro, especially in the mid bass. But I find the Q5 just to be a little bit better as an all-rounder, sort of a daily driver when I'm out and about and I just want something that's a little bit fuller, something that I can listen to for prolonged periods of time without feeling fatigue. That reminds me, with the Q5 Pro, It's vital that you get a good seal with your ear tips and you get a reasonably deep insertion, otherwise it can sound quite thin. And one other thing I'll say is that the Q5 Clean's cable, stock cable, is better quality than the Q5 Pro. Not a big deal, but yeah, slightly better. Anyway, both are great. Let's circle back to the Q5 Pro. Look, this is a good IEM. It's yet another sub 100, you know, around that $50-$60 mark IEM that is really good and deserves to be listened to. In fact, I'd even say it's pretty much comparable with anything else around that price range. If you're into that sort of neutral to maybe neutral bright sound signature, these are definitely worth a look. Having said that, going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up, Pa Family Audiophile style, if you like the video. By the way, I want to give it, we just hit 18,000 subscribers on YouTube. I want to give a shout out to all of you, all my fans, all the subscribers, and a shout out to my patrons, you know, Patreon supporters. If you would like to support the channel, check the Patreon link down below. It's much appreciated and it helps me to keep making all this content. Yeah, so if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, I'll see you later.